Good evening. Welcome again to our program, Women to Women. I'm Carol Paz, your hostess, and we have a delightful lady with a year-old business right here in Carson that she's about to explain to you. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors for the first half. We'd like to thank Dr. Kent Gabriel, MD, noted plastic surgeon who practices right here in Carson City. Dr. Gabriel's specialty is microsurgery of the hands. And we'd like to thank the Horseshoe Club in downtown Carson. If you'd like to stop in and have a wonderful meal, visit their newly renovated dining room. And we'd also like to thank one of the friendliest banks ever here in Carson City, Bank of the West. They are customer-oriented, and when you walk in, they know your name. And now I'd like to introduce our audience to Judy Bendure. Judy, thank you so much for being with us. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay. You know, when I first spoke with you on the phone, I got very excited because I knew nothing at all about Pilates, okay? And we're all looking forward to having that unique, healthy way of treating our bodies. But first, we'd like to know something about you. Are you a native Nevadan?
No, actually, I was born in Pennsylvania, but my father moved our family out here when I was 5. So I've lived in Carson for 50 years. So.
Okay, then basically you are a Carsonite, that's for sure.
I am. Okay. I've lived my entire life in Carson.
Do you have any memories of Pennsylvania whatsoever?
I went back in '76 when I graduated from high school, but I don't have any from being a child,
All
no.
right. It is a beautiful state, and it's very green,
yes,
compared to Nevada. So when you came out here with your family, Judy, are you a single child, or do you have brothers and sisters?
I have 2 brothers and a sister.
Okay, okay. And when you were growing up, were you always a physical fitness person? Was running and jumping and being outdoors important to you with your interests?
Actually, it was, but more because I was a fat child, and I was always very self-conscious about that. So I took up running when I was about 18, and I was always doing crazy diets and losing weight and gaining weight.
Yes.
And I started hitting the gyms and doing all those different types of workout. And
you're so petite. You're so the shape is great. Okay, I would never. Thank you for sharing that, because there are a lot of us out there who were children who grew up with sometimes more than plumpness, sometimes just plain obesity. And it was difficult as a child. I remember classmates and I remember family members that struggled with that.
Yeah.
When did you decide, was it 18 that long, when you made a decision to do something about
Yeah, it was about then. I mean, like I said, up until then, I'd done a lot of crazy, grapefruit diets and, cabbage soup diets, all that stuff. But at that point, I actually got interested in Weight Watchers and the whole method of just sound eating and food exchanges and starting to focus on how to eat. And I followed that, and I lost about 45 pounds. And
wow.
Kept it off.
Kept it off. That's wonderful.
Well, up and down a little bit.
I know. We're healing.
But for the most part, I've never gone back to that.
And it's hard to break. See if what I'm about to say makes sense to you. When you grow up in the Midwest, and probably this could be anywhere, but meat and potatoes are a daily diet intake. And there's usually dessert. There's a vegetable, but there can be another side dish, some type of salad. But overall, a really solid breakfast and a really solid supper. And you carry that with you, all the way through high school, and if you go on to college, through college, and it becomes a part of not only who you are, but how you feed other people around you. And it is a continuing problem. And as we see now in the United States, it's a big problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I got involved with the fast food because my first job was at McDonald's, and that was before they had a healthy menu. So I got into eating the French fries and all the stuff you eat as a teenager. So
I hear you. My first job was at a bakery, and within 1 week I had gained 6 or 7 pounds. I couldn't resist the donuts. They were so hot and delicious. But that happens. Now you must have a really firm mindset that well, let me start back with this. Okay, when you were 18, you graduated from high school, right? Did you decide to go on into further your education, or did you go into a business, or what did you do after 18?
I went to work for the state of Nevada. Yeah. That was what my sister had done, is what my mother had done, so it was kind of, you know,
in the family,
what we did.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I went to work for the state of Nevada.
Now, was there a lot of sitting down?
There was a lot of sitting down.
Okay.
There was a lot of food and donuts, and the you know, the truck that drives up and sells
Yes.
you burritos and and all of that stuff. So
how did you resist that?
I kept carrots and you know, back then we didn't have a lot of the diet foods and all of that, so it was carrots and water and, you know, different types of things like that.
And you know, that might have been healthier, because so many of our foods now, even though they're diet foods, are processed.
Yes.
And that's not a healthy way to get into trying to watch weight either. I care about whether my food is natural, whether it's, you know, gone through all this processing so that it stays on a shelf for 10 months or a year.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I used to live in a country that country was the recipient of old packaging that came off the United States grocery shelves. And that's what those people were introduced to, and it was very unhealthy in so many ways. Okay, so you're in the government work, you're doing a lot of sitting, but you kept some natural snacks, carrots and celery, etc. All right, and did that work?
It did, for the most part. You know, when they would have their parties and that, I remember I used to eat a lot of the Edamons, you know, fat-free things and that. So when they were having their cake and that, I'd have my little thing. And they used to always give me a bad time about that, you know, aren't you going to come eat with us? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I actually would stay away from when they'd have the potlucks and stuff like that. I just stayed away from it.
Those are a big temptation.
They're terrible, yeah.
Now let me ask, of the 4 children in your family, were you the only one that was overweight?
And my sister struggled with her weight off and on too. So.
But not the brothers?
No, you know, they do more now that they're older, but at that time, no. They were real lean and could eat what they wanted. It was very frustrating.
And how did your parents feel? Because some parents are in full agreement with their daughters or their sons if there is a weight issue, and they're supportive of losing that weight. Other parents don't see it as any big deal.
Well, I was raised primarily by my mom. She was, you know, single mom most of my life. And she thought I was kind of being silly. You know, she loved me the way I was. And she cooked, and she cooked a lot of carbs. And she actually had terrible cooking habits, fattening-wise. And
delicious,
so she she never understood why I was doing it. But she didn't, you know, make me eat things I didn't want. She was supportive in that way, but she didn't think I was as overweight as I did. You know.
And there is a strong, I'm happy to say this, self-image that women have today for themselves that's much healthier. Mother, forgive me, okay? But I used to watch my mother. They wore corsets.
Oh, yeah.
And my mother was a very pretty, attractive woman, but a little bit on the plump side. So to offset that, I would have to pull these corset strings and pull, which pushed everything up at a tiny waist. She could not bend. She could not eat. She could barely do anything, but she had the shape she wanted.
Yeah.
And when she would come home after this outing of whatever it was, she would say, "Carol, come, release the corset." And it was just like
yeah.
And her form came back, and the corset just disappeared into the closet. But she knew that she had a weight problem, and had a hard time talking to herself because my father liked her a little on the plump side. So she saw herself through his eyes rather than through her eyes.
Yeah.
And that's remarkable that you could, at an early age, make up your mind, decide, this is not going to be how I look 10 years from now or 20 years.
No, I was kind of obsessed with it for a little period of time. You know, the running became a real focus for me, and keeping the weight. Once I lost the weight, I think it was about 21 when I finally hit my goal weight. And I'll never forget my brother one time. He was living in San Francisco, and I went to visit, and I walked across the room. He goes, "Wow, I didn't realize that was my sister."
Oh,
he said,
neat.
"You know, you look so good." And
he was proud.
He was, because he knew, you know, I'd struggled a long time with it, and so I really kept a focus on it because I never wanted to go back to that.
No, it's hard if you let yourself go back. I think it's 3 times harder to take that weight off again.
It really is.
It's better to stay where you're at.
Yeah.
All right, so help us understand, as you grew older, okay, as you aged a bit, were you, how many years did you work for the government here in the state?
I worked for 25 and then I retired in 2002.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And where were you introduced to the program that is called Pilates?
Oh, well, I worked in gyms most of my life. When I retired, I had a very good friend, Verna Lewis, who's a instructor here in town.
Okay.
You know, she's at a lot of the different gyms. Well, she taught a lot of my aerobic classes that I enjoyed. I ran into her in the store one day and I said, you know, I've always wanted to teach aerobics. And she said, well, I'll teach you because I need someone to take over some of my classes.
Oh.
So she helped me get the certification and
okay.
I started teaching aerobics, and then it turned into, why don't you become a personal trainer? So I went through the whole certification program for that. Well, when you get out of that, you really don't know what you're doing. You need a mentor. And so...
Now, why do you say you really don't know what you're doing?
They teach you different exercises. They teach you anatomy, but you don't know how to write programs for people.
All right.
You know, someone comes up to you maybe with some ailments that need modifications. You really don't. Now, some people just go right into the field. I didn't feel I wanted to do that. I wanted to mentor with someone.
Right. And there's a certain risk factor if you're taking on almost patients, okay, who have certain conditions, and individualized programs for individuals becomes very important. And we're going to get back to that in just a second, okay? Don't go away. I'm interested because I'm slightly overweight.
Hi, I'm Stephen Lincoln with CarsonCityHomes.com, Carson City's original online real estate resource.
At CarsonCityHomes.com, you get effective and easy-to-use tools to help you select your next home today. With our easy-to-use website, you can search listings throughout Northern Nevada and narrow the results by selecting every facet, quirk, and quality you desire. Visit CarsonCityHomes.com.
Come to the Carson Horseshoe Club for fun and friendly service. Play your favorite games. Join our Players Club, where you get cash for points plus food comps, and enjoy casual dining in our Lucky Horse Grill. Get it all in the heart of downtown Carson City at the family-owned, local favorite Carson Horseshoe Club.
We always knew that when we had another baby, we would love it if I could stay home. The kids shape what we do. Everything's about them. So we had to make a lot of changes. Quick Balance is this really nice feature of the Bank of the West app. The more I check into my balance, the easier it is for me to stay on track. You don't even have to log in. Hold on tight. You're on call, 24/7. Every minute that the app saves me is a minute that I can spend with my family. And that means everything to me.
Apex SCF provides cutting-edge, hands-on training that effectively addresses today's threats of violence.
The Apex Stay Alive course teaches proven methods for personal protection and attack countermeasures that can be applied in any environment. In your home, at the workplace, or on campus, Apex will teach you the necessary skills to stay alive, including how to recognize and react to an active shooter scenario.
If you knew you had to fight for your life tomorrow, would you train today? Contact us now to sign up for a class in your region.
Welcome back to the second portion of Women to Women. We're here with Judy Bendure, and before we get back to Judy's story, which is a great one, I'd like to thank our sponsors for the second half. Villa Basque, Deli and Cafe, right here in Carson City, home of Pete's famous Basque chorizo, and it is delicious. We'd also like to thank Carpa Nevada LLC, importer of fine Portuguese olive oils, aged balsamic vinegar, and international health teas. And then there is carsonnow.org. Anything that is going on, at any time, anywhere, go to carsonnow.org, because that's the place to really live Carson City. All right, let's get back to Judy. Judy, I'm impressed with something that you just said, which I think is so important for our viewers as well as for any one of us. Before we take on, so to speak, a health program, it's good to know that you wanted to make sure that if you're going to be a personal trainer, you have the necessary background and skills and the mentoring in place to deal with individuals, because we all come in with various situations, not similar necessarily to one another.
Right.
So certification is very important. How long is certification to become a personal trainer?
Well, you do a study course, like a 12-week study course. Then for me, for the particular certification I got with a group called AFA, it was a 4-day workshop, very intense 4 days. And then at the end, you had a 100-question test. And if you passed that, then you received your certification. And then you do have to continue with your continuing ed every 2 years to stay certified, and you have to have your CPR and everything in place.
Excellent, excellent. So during this period of time that you decided you wanted to have a mentor or to be in a mentorship, what was that like?
Well, I actually tried going in and working at some of the gyms, you know, as a personal trainer, and it was just really obvious to me that I didn't have the tools. The schooling was great, and I had a good understanding of different exercises, but I just didn't feel like when someone came to me, I knew how to write a program. Okay, now when you say you felt you didn't have the tools, tools meaning what? Well, say you come to me and you say, yeah, I have a back injury, and I didn't feel like I knew, well, what exercises should I avoid? What should I emphasize? You know, I didn't feel comfortable with that at this point. Okay, so you knew the anatomy, the structure of the back, the muscles, tendons, nerves, etc. But do you have to know exactly where that injury took place, how long ago it was, and what has been done in the meantime, maybe therapy of some sort? Oh, definitely. You know, the first thing you want to know is, did they do physical therapy? Are they released? And when they were released with some sort of limitations? What were they? You know, that's where it comes out as a trainer, that if they say, okay, I'm not supposed to lift over, I'm not supposed to twist, what can you do in place of that? And that was the tools I felt I lacked, because I hadn't been in the area long enough, training in the area. And I think for any professional, that awareness, regardless of what field you're in as a professional, becomes very evident. You know yourself. So what did you decide to do? I went back to my friend Verna. And she said, I have a friend who's just opening a studio out on Johnson Lane. Her name's Kathy Beamer, and she mainly works with people with special issues. And she said, I think she'd be a wonderful mentor for you. And she's just starting a new business. So I went out there and met Kathy, and Kathy, I shadowed her for quite a while. But in the course of that, I found out that she did Pilates, and she also had Pilates reformer machines. Okay, now you're going to have to explain to our audience and to this lady, okay, what is Pilates? Well, let me give you a little history on how it came to be, because I think it's important. Yes. Pilates is named after Joseph Pilates, and he was born in 1883 in Germany. He was a real sickly child. He had rickets and asthma and various things. So he became really concerned with becoming real physically strong. So he studied bodybuilding, he studied yoga, he studied kung fu and gymnastics. And he kind of took a little bit of each of those and tried to build a program of strength and health for himself. Kind of like Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah, exactly. Well, then when World War I broke out, he was placed in an internment camp. While he was there, he started using his exercises with all the people there to help them stay healthy. He even took springs off of the beds and attached them to walls to create resistance training. The man was just light years ahead of his time. And but his whole philosophy was about the core strength. Not about just going out and getting strong, getting biceps and legs, but the core, the deepest down muscles. He believed that our poor posture and our inefficient way of breathing was the root of all health problems. And so he put this together, and there was actually a flu epidemic during that time, and people were dying all around him, but their people in their camp were staying healthy, and they said it was because of the Pilates method. Well, after that all ended, he came to the States in 1925, and along the way met his wife Clara, and they went to New York City. And they opened up an exercise studio, but the New York Ballet shared the building with them. Well, a lot of the people in the arts started coming to him because his method built long, lean muscles and had all this emphasis on strength of the core. And also he ballet, that's it. Exactly. So he became the trainer for a lot of the ballet people. Well, that kind of kept spreading, and he started getting mentors because there was more and more people that needed to be teaching this.
Yes.
And so he had a studio till the 60s, and then in 1967 he died. There was a fire in his studio, and he fell through a floor, and he died. Now Clara carried on for a little while longer, but there's all these disciples that went out and carried on his traditions of exercise.
Oh, wonderful.
He wrote a book in 1945.
What a legacy.
Yeah, exactly. But he actually called his whole method controlology, because he believed it was all about the mind connecting to the body and controlling the body's movements, not the other way around. That the body shouldn't be telling you how it is, but you should be telling your body the movements it needs to do and what to do to move and be graceful. So anyhow, this has gone through all the years, and some of the disciples are still in place. Ron Fletcher is in Half Moon Bay. Yeah, he studied with Joseph when he was a very young man, and so he has a whole program of training.
Okay.
There's different methods. There's the classical method, which is true Joseph Pilates, and then there's the contemporary, which is a little more fluid, a little more stretching and that type of movement.
Okay.
That's the type of trainer I am, and that's what this gal Kathy was.
Okay.
And so that's how the Pilates movement came about. Now, he developed all these different machines in the course of developing his programs, what we call the reformer. There's something called a Wanda chair, and there's several other pieces of apparatus, but they're based on resistance training and securing the core while you exercise.
Right.
So that's what Pilates is. It's identifying your muscles from here and working out.
Wow, I have a lot of work to do.
It's amazing, and the wonderful thing about it, and I've got to admit, when Kathy said, why don't you get certified in this, I did. Right. I went to Reno, and they had a place to get certified, and I did my workshop with them and did it. I really didn't believe in it. I thought, this is a bunch of phooey. This isn't real, but I'll do it because, it's what trainers are doing now. Well, I had always had problems with my back. I hurt my back when I was about 21 doing Fast and Furious, aerobic stuff.
Right.
And it would go out all the time. So I started doing
and that's painful.
Oh, it was awful. I would be laid up for a week every time it happened, and couldn't run or anything.
Right.
Well, once I started doing the Pilates, and in the course of trying to develop programs to teach, I started realizing my back stopped hurting. It was better. And the more research I found out that they were using Pilates, they use it in physical therapy. Matter of fact, I was just taking a certification workshop, and a physical therapist was in my class, and I said, why with all your schooling are you here? And they said, because we're getting reformers. We're using reformers for physical therapy now.
That's the machine.
Yeah, that's one of the machines. Yeah, and they even use just the mat exercises, just doing the work on mat for, all types of rehab now. It's become, known that if we can strengthen the core, wrap those deepest muscles around the spine, now
securing the spine in place.
And just recently, my back kind of flared up again on me, and I think it was because I wasn't paying attention to myself with the new studio and all. So I finally went in and had an MRI, and my doctor called and said, I don't even want to tell you how bad your back is. You have 3 bulging discs. You have disintegration of discs in your lower back. Oh, and I had double hip replacements a couple years ago, too.
Wow, Judy.
Because I'm very arthritic.
Okay.
Apparently, I'm just arthritic. I had my first one done when I was 48.
That could be in your family.
It could be. Yeah, and the doctors even said they felt it was just genetics. But he says, how have you been without pain? And I said, I think it's the Pilates. And so I kicked up my workout regimen. I did some acupuncture, and I'm pain-free again. So I guess, and I said when he told me how bad my back was, I said, well, it's kind of scary. I said, but I think I'm a person who believes God gives you everything to use.
Yes,
I said, God gave me this, so now I can use it to help other people. So I'm a true believer in the Pilates method now. We have so many choices, don't we, to make. And for me, I'm only speaking about myself, surgery would be the last thing, because I'm just not, mentally and emotionally, I don't like to think about something that is invasive of my body. So I will think other ways. What can I do
which is pro-health, pro-body, before I'll ever think of surgery, okay? And like you, like many, the back problems are among the most painful. And when they come, it's debilitating.
Oh, it is.
Debilitating. And you wonder, how is it possible? Is it possible to ever regain my walking again, sitting again, being able to sleep again without intensifying or living with this intensive pain?
Oh, yeah.
So it's wonderful to know that we are developing these rehab programs with these machines that are making a difference. And I've always watched, maybe you too, I used to attend the ballet in New York when I lived there in the city. And it always seemed to me that, that erect postures that both the ballerinas, the dancers, the female dancers, and the male dancers have is unique. It's beautiful. And Pilates has allowed you to feel much more secure with your spine and your balance, your center. Okay.
I actually work with a lot of people who are 60 and above.
Okay.
And
that's me.
Yeah. Well, I'm rapidly approaching 60, and they come to me and they say, I'm losing my balance. And we know that people fall, they break their hips.
Yes.
And I said that's because of the lack of the core.
Yes.
It's from that whole lack of strength inside. And a lot of my folks who have been with me a long time, one of the things they love is that they feel secure to go out walking now. Because they said, my balance is back.
Oh, Judy, you have no idea. This has opened up windows for a lot of people. And I want to say thank you for sharing. Thank you for introducing many of us to Pilates. And you never know, this blonde may be at your doorstep very soon.
I certainly hope so.
Thank you.
We got a reformer with your name on it.
Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you, audience, for being with us. I hope you enjoyed tonight's program as much as I did. We'll see you next week with a brand new lady. In the meantime, take care. Have a good evening. Good night.
Hi, I'm Genevieve Frederick, founder and executive director of Pets of the Homeless.
Pets of the Homeless is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization that provides pet food and veterinary care to the homeless and less fortunate in local communities.
We're a national organization with over 200 collection sites across the United States, one in Australia and a few in Canada. Our national organization, since 2008, we've collected almost 50 tons of pet food that has been distributed through various organizations across the country, like food banks, homeless shelters, and soup dining rooms. With donations from the public, we are able to provide these kinds of wellness clinics across the country. Since 2008, our wellness clinics have provided over 2,500 animals with shots and medical care.
I'm Dr. Woody Allen. I'm a semi-retired veterinarian in Carson City, and I have worked with the Pets of the Homeless for about 4 or 5 years now. And when Genevieve Frederick started the program, our hospital was the first hospital to help her with collecting dog food and finding people that needed our help. On this website, you'll be able to find sources where you can get food on a regular basis if you need it.
With donations from the public, we're able to provide homeless shelters with crates, bowls, cleaning materials, so that homeless with pets can come into homeless shelters and get the services that they need to get out of homelessness.
If you are in need of food, supplies, or services for your pet, or would like to donate or volunteer, visit petsofthehomeless.org.
More homes are being threatened by wildfire than ever before.
At the National Weather Service, we anticipate critical fire weather conditions and issue red flag warnings. Red flag days occur when conditions are ideal for ignition and rapid spread of wildfire.
Please report smoke or unsafe activity by quickly calling 911, and don't assume someone already has.
Stay informed by frequenting weather.gov/Reno or following us on Facebook and Twitter.